Before you go any further, I want you to do something again. Take off your sock, yes, right now, and this time, don't just glance at it. Look carefully, because that line pressed into your skin, that indentation that refuses to disappear, that is not normal. It might feel normal because you've seen it for years, but your body was never designed to hold fluid like that. And here's the part that should concern you. That mark is just the surface. What you don't see is what's been building underneath your skin all day. Fluid, quietly collecting, slowly increasing, hour by hour, while you sit, while you relax, while you go about your day thinking everything is fine. And right now, there's a high chance that your legs are holding anywhere between half a liter to even a full liter of fluid, just sitting there, not moving, not draining, waiting. And tonight, when you lie down, that fluid is going to move. Not gently, not gradually, but all at once. It's going to return into your bloodstream. It's going to put pressure on your system, and it's going to interrupt something you probably already struggle with. Your sleep. You'll wake up, maybe once, maybe twice, maybe more, not realizing that it's not your bladder causing it. It's your legs. And the cycle repeats, day after day, week after week, year after year, until one day, it doesn't just feel like swelling anymore. It feels like heaviness, tightness, pressure, fatigue that doesn't make sense, shoes that don't fit the same, skin that doesn't feel like yours anymore. And the worst part? You were never told why. You were told to reduce salt. You were told to take pills. You were told it's just aging. But no one actually explained the mechanism. No one showed you what's really happening inside your body. And that's exactly what we're going to change today. Because once you understand this, you'll never look at your legs the same way again. And more importantly, you'll finally know what actually works. I'm Dr. Chloe Anderson, and what I'm about to show you is something most people go their entire lives without ever learning. Your body has two fluid systems, not one. Two. The first, you already know, your blood. Your heart pumps it constantly, relentlessly, without asking anything from you. But the second system is where everything starts to fall apart, because this one has no pump. Nothing pushing it automatically, nothing forcing it to move. It depends entirely on you. And if you don't activate it, it stops completely. Now think about that for a second. A system inside your body responsible for removing excess fluid, waste, toxins, and it only works when you move. What happens when you don't? What happens when you sit for hours? What happens when your evenings become still? What happens when your muscles stop activating? Everything slows down. Then it stalls. Then it backs up. And when it backs up, fluid has nowhere to go. So it stays right there in your legs, pooling, expanding, pressing against your skin, creating that indentation you saw just moments ago. Now here's where it gets even more important. Because this system was strong when you were younger, responsive, efficient, elastic, but over time, it changes. The pathways stiffen, the flow weakens, the responsiveness fades, and what used to clear itself in minutes now takes hours, or worse, doesn't clear at all. So the same day, the same habits, the same amount of sitting, now create a completely different result. Swelling, heaviness, fatigue, and a feeling that your body is slowly becoming harder to manage. But here's the truth most people never hear. Your body didn't fail you. It adapted to less movement, to longer periods of stillness, to a lifestyle that no longer supports that system. And the moment you understand that, you stop blaming your body and start working with it. Now I want you to think about something very specific. Have you ever had a day where you were more active than usual, walking more, moving more, maybe traveling, running errands, staying on your feet longer than normal, and at the end of that day, your legs actually felt better, less swollen, less tight, almost lighter? That's not your imagination. That's proof. Proof that your body still knows exactly what to do. It just needs the right signals. But here's the problem. Most people don't give those signals consistently. They move randomly. They rest excessively at the wrong times. And without realizing it, they create the perfect conditions for fluid to build up, especially in the evening. And that's the most dangerous part of the cycle, because evening is when everything compounds. You've already accumulated fluid throughout the day. And then what happens? You sit for hours after dinner, relaxing, unwinding, doing exactly what feels natural, but unintentionally making things worse. Because during those hours, your body is in the worst possible position for drainage, still, inactive, vertical, allowing gravity to pull everything downward, with nothing pushing it back up. So by the time night arrives, your legs are at their heaviest point, and then you lie down. And that's when the second phase begins. The phase nobody connects, because the swelling might look like a daytime issue, but the real damage happens at night. That fluid begins to return to circulation, slowly at first, then steadily, then significantly. Your heart receives more volume than it was handling during the day. Your kidneys respond, they start filtering, producing urine, trying to balance what just entered your system. And suddenly, you're awake. Again, and again, and again. Not because something is wrong with your bladder, but because your body is processing what your day created. Now imagine this happening every single night, interrupting your sleep, reducing your recovery, increasing your fatigue, and slowly affecting everything else. Your energy, your focus, your mood, your overall health, all from something. That started with a simple sock mark. Now here's where things shift. Because once you see the full picture, the solution becomes obvious. Not easy, but obvious. You don't need to fight your body. You don't need extreme measures. You don't need complicated routines. You need to restore flow at the right time, in the right way, consistently. And that's exactly what we're going to build, step by step, because in the next part, I'm going to show you something most people completely misunderstand. Why common treatments fail, why pills don't fix this, and the exact mistake that keeps this cycle going for years. And once you see that, everything starts to click. So stay with me, because what comes next is where most people finally realize they've been solving the wrong problem all along. And if you're starting to recognize yourself in this, I want you to do something simple. Drop your age in the comments and where you're watching from, because it helps shape what I break down next for you. And if this already changed the way you see your body, subscribe to Real Talk Bedroom. Because what you're about to learn next is where the real transformation begins. Because now we're going deeper into the part almost nobody explains properly. And this is where most people get completely misled. Because once swelling shows up, the instinct is to remove water, cut fluids, reduce salt, take something to flush it out. It sounds logical. It feels like the right move. But here's the problem. You're trying to remove water from the wrong place, because the fluid sitting in your legs right now is not where most treatments are designed to act. It's not freely circulating in your bloodstream. It's trapped, held inside the tissues, almost like a sponge that's already soaked. And this is where the misunderstanding becomes dangerous, because when you take something like a water pill, it pulls fluid out of your blood, not out of that sponge. So what happens? Your blood volume drops, but the fluid in your tissues stays exactly where it is. And now your body is in a strange position. Less fluid in circulation, but still swollen where it matters. So you feel drained, tired, sometimes even dizzy. But your ankles, they barely change. And that's when frustration sets in. Because you followed the advice. You did what you were told, but nothing really improved. And here's the truth. It's not that your body is resistant. It's that the approach never matched the problem. Now think about this carefully. If fluid is trapped in your tissues, what's the only way to move it? It has to be physically pushed out. There's no shortcut. No pill can reach in and pull it directly. It has to be guided, directed, moved, and your body already has a system for that. But like we talked about earlier, that system only works when it's activated, And most of the time, it isn't. Now let's make this real, because I want you to actually feel what's happening. Right now, press your thumb into your lower leg again. Hold it there. Apply steady pressure. Then release. Watch what happens. That indentation, that slow return, that delay before your skin smooths out. That's not just fluid. That's stagnation. That's a sign that movement has been missing for hours. And the longer that pattern repeats, the more your body adapts to it. The tissues begin to hold on to fluid more easily. The pathways that should clear it become less efficient. And over time, what used to be temporary starts to feel permanent. Now here's something that surprises most people. Your body actually gets used to being swollen, not in a good way, but in a this is the new normal way. The tissues stretch, they accommodate the extra fluid, and once that happens, it becomes even harder for your system to reverse it quickly, which is why some people say, I've had this for years, nothing changes. But that doesn't mean it can't change. It just means it hasn't been addressed correctly yet. Now let's talk about something even more important, timing. Because when you try to fix this, when you try to improve flow, when you try to reduce that buildup, timing is everything. Most people try to fix swelling at the wrong time of day. They notice it at night. So they try to deal with it then. But by that point, the fluid has already accumulated. It's already settled. It's already created pressure in the tissues. So now you're trying to reverse hours of buildup in a short window. And that's always harder. But if you interrupt the process earlier, if you prevent that buildup from reaching its peak, everything changes. And this is where small habits become powerful. Because we're not trying to eliminate fluid completely. That's not realistic. Your body needs fluid. We're trying to control where it goes and how long it stays there. Now, here's a question I want you to think about honestly. How often do you go an entire hour without moving your lower legs, not walking, not flexing, not standing, just sitting, still, completely inactive? For most people, it happens constantly. And every time it does, that system slows down again. Fluid starts settling again. And the cycle continues. Now imagine breaking that pattern, not with something extreme, but with something small, something simple, that you can actually repeat, because consistency is what your body responds to. Not intensity, not once in a while effort, but steady signals, repeated throughout the day. Now let's connect this to something you've probably experienced. Have you ever noticed that tight feeling in your legs? When you first stand up after sitting for a long time, that heaviness, that slight discomfort, that moment where your legs feel almost stiff, that's not just stiffness, that's fluid redistribution. That's your body suddenly trying to move what's been sitting still. And that moment, right there, is proof that your system is still working. It just needs more consistent activation. Now here's where things get even more interesting, because there's a specific pattern that makes swelling significantly worse. And most people do it every single day without realizing it. It's not just sitting. It's when you sit, especially in the evening, after your last meal, when your body is already shifting into a slower state, digestion is happening, circulation patterns are changing, and then you become still for long periods. That combination is one of the strongest triggers for fluid buildup, because now your body is dealing with multiple demands while your movement drops to almost zero. And by the time night comes, the accumulation is at its highest point. Now let me ask you something important. Have you ever gone to bed feeling heavy, then woken up in the morning, and your legs looked almost normal again? Less swollen, less tight, almost like the problem disappeared overnight? That's not random. That's gravity. When you lie down, your body redistributes fluid. It levels everything out. But here's the catch. That doesn't mean the problem is solved. It just means it's been reset. Because as soon as your day starts again, the same pattern begins, unless something changes. Now, this is the moment where most people either ignore it or finally decide to understand it. Because once you connect all of this, the cause, the buildup, the nighttime shift, the morning reset, You start to see the full cycle. And once you see the cycle, you can break it. And that's exactly what we're going to do next. Because in the next part, I'm going to show you the exact sequence, the specific actions, and the timing that makes everything work together. Not randomly, not occasionally, but in a way your body actually responds to. And once you start applying it, you won't need to guess anymore. You'll feel the difference in your legs, in your comfort, in your sleep. And that's when everything starts to change. So stay with me, because what comes next is where theory turns into something real. And if you've made it this far, I want you to tell me something. When do you notice you're swelling the most? Morning or evening? Drop it in the comments, because your answer says a lot about what your body is going through. And if this is starting to make sense in a way it never has before, subscribe to Real Talk Bedroom, because the next part is where we turn this into something you can actually use.